Hey, today is Friday, May the 8th. It's cold, it's rainy. It's supposed to get even colder tonight. I think I saw the forecast says we're supposed to get down to 24 tonight, a hard freeze. You factor in the wind, I think the wind chill is supposed to be 9 tonight. Way too cold for May, but it's good to be with you. Today is the day that the Lord has made. It's not our typical May weather day, but find some blessing and rejoice in it. My boys have been pretty much stuck at home the last couple of months, and so Corey and I have had to try to be creative in keeping them entertained and keeping them from killing each other the last couple of months. And one of the things that they have gotten into recently again is building Legos. And Legos have been around for a long time. I remember being a kid and loving Legos, but nowadays the Legos, they come in these kits, very specific things that you're supposed to build. And some kits are very simple. You build a car, something small. The most complex, the biggest ones though, are these huge, complex, sometimes big cities, or sometimes they have a very complex boats that they were supposed to build. And every single kit though comes with instructions. And kids and instructions, those don't always go hand in hand. And so a lot of times they'll start to work on a new, building project, building Legos, and they'll be about a third of the way through and they'll realize they messed something up. And then they realize they have to go back to the instructions. It reminds me of the Tower of Babel. Do you remember the Tower of Babel? In the book of Genesis, right after the creation, the people come together and they start to build themselves. However, they're not building Legos. They are building a city, and more specifically, a tower. So the Tower of Babel we find in Genesis 11, where we read, "The whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, 'Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly.' They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth.'" Now, I want to stop right there because Scripture tells us the reason that they're doing this, the reason they're building this city and a great tower, is so that they can make a name for themselves. You can say so that they may become famous and so that they may, get the attention that they feel that would make them somehow more meaningful, would make them, somehow better. Verse 5, though, we continue. "But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the people were building. The Lord said, 'If one people speaking the same language have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they do not understand each other.' So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth." Now, this is one of those Bible passages that, many of us know and many of us have heard many times. And trying to find some meaning, trying to find some answer in our own daily lives is sometimes complicated. But when I read this, and what I really take to heart when I hear these words from God is, I think it's a testament. These people lived many, many, many years before us. And yet, I think who they are is the same as us. The heart is the same. The mind is the same. The goals that we as human beings often think are the most important has not changed. Who we are is the same. It doesn't matter if we lived 100 years ago or right now. There's something inside of us that just yearns for attention, that just yearns to make us number one, to be number one in the spotlight. All about the me, and the I. And these people, as they started to build this great city, they were just doing it for themselves. They were doing it for their own acclaim. And they were not following God. They were not connecting with God. Like my boys, building the Legos, not following the directions, not following, what was going to help them finish the project and build whatever they're trying to build. These people were building the city and the tower, and they were not connecting to the source, to the God. Oftentimes, young people are asked, what do you want to become in life? What profession or what do you want to do? And very often they have a hard time describing what they want to become. However, more often than not, they've got an answer. They want to be famous. They want to somehow, create a YouTube channel or do something that they will go viral, and everybody in the country will know who they are. We'll click on them, we'll like them, we'll follow them on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever it might be. This yearning to be famous, it's eternal, and it's part of who we are. However, I think this lesson from Genesis teaches us. And I think there's a lesson that being famous in itself is not the sin. Having acclaim is not something that God looks down upon. Heck, a few verses later, God himself will speak to Abram, who will become Abraham, and God will say, I will make you famous. I will make your name known, over all the lands. And God will help raise up people like Moses and Jesus Christ and Peter. And, I think of Mother Teresa in our modern days. All kinds of people doing things, and the doctors and the nurses right now doing wonderful things. But all these people didn't do it out of the sense that I want to make myself more famous. I want to do this for me. Now, many of them did it for the glory of God. Many of them did it to better humankind, to better the people that are around them. So for me, that's the lesson of Babel. It's not a sin to be famous, but it is a sin to somehow try and prop ourselves up. Thank you for joining me once again today. Stay warm tonight, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.